Good evening, gamers, anime watchers, trash taste listeners, Abe Desage watchers, Akurimono fan people, hentai lovers. Welcome in. Gonna be rambling today about Tomo-Chan and I already forgot the other anime name. Oh, Horimiya, however you say it, Horimiya. And talking about how those two animes were put against each other in the Crunchyroll Awards, and how I think that Tomo-Chan was robbed. I wish it had a shorter name because I just hate saying how long it is. But yeah. I'm going to try not to do what I did last time and say a lot, because I did write somewhat of a script, and this is how it goes. Tomo-Chan is a great romance anime that came out at a weird time for all anime lovers, as there was so many bangers coming out during the summer of 23. You know, we had like Skip and Loafer and those two other romances, but I'm mainly going to be and some others as well, but those are the main animes that I watched personally. I think there's like one more, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. And it was still better than a big chunk. And the Crunchyrolls, I think those two were the main ones that were better than a big chunk. And yeah, so the Crunchyroll Awards happened, and they pretty much said most of the people, I think, that voted didn't even watch both of the animes. I think they just mainly watched either Tomo-Chan or Horimiya, and I think most of them just voted Horimiya. Also word of mouth, because I did see a lot of like TikToks and random posts about that anime, and I just don't think that alone, just its popularity of it being wholesome, was good enough to make it win an award, especially over Tomo-Chan. I think people just kind of undervalued it because they saw it as more like samey, maybe like it fell into the cheesy romance genre, kind of like a lot of isekais are kind of lumped together nowadays, and they all feel kind of samey. I think you know what I mean. It's very hard to see one that kind of like can put your finger on and be like, yeah, no, you know what, this one's a little bit more unique, which sucks, but you know, that just kind of is the case. Oh yeah, and the opening song for the Tomo-Chan and for Horimiya just were both really good. I think Horimiya had a better opening. I think season 1 and season 2 were both good. Tomo-Chan, I think the opening for that one was good. The ending was not the best in my opinion. It is just kind of a lot of personal opinion at the end of the day, but I think most people would agree that Horimiya had a good opening, especially over Tomo-Chan. Skip and Loafer was really good too. I don't remember it exactly, but I do remember liking it a lot. So the story of Horimiya was good. Started off really strong. Just to talk about it a little bit, they had a unique male starter character, and it was not really that much of a self-insert. He was very unique. He had tattoos. He had like, you know, cool hair and just a cool attitude. He was very chill. He wasn't like the cool guy, but he was like very different than what I'm used to and what most people are probably used to. Other shows and series like Tomo-Chan do have the self-insert main protagonist dude, which isn't, you know, always a good thing. It didn't really hurt Tomo-Chan in my opinion though. He wasn't too samey. He was like a good guy after all, so I think it kind of worked for it in its favor. Not so much of a deficit, in my opinion. But then again, in Horimiya, after a few episodes, it kind of falls flat on his face anyways. He turns very generic. He has like a complete redesign after like 6 episodes, or maybe even less. I don't remember exactly, but they change his character. He looks weird. He looks different. Well, it doesn't even look bad, but he just looks a lot different after a few episodes, which I think was a mistake. I think they should have kept focusing on that more a bit. That was like the main hook that drew me in. and it drew in a lot of other people as well. He just kind of became a bit more boring in my opinion. After that, they could have done a lot more off of that, but again, that's just what the writers wanted to do, and that's fine. It's just not something that I agreed with. The girl in the show is not bad either. In Horimiya, she was pretty cool. She had a nice attitude for the most part. She was like wholesome-ish. She was just kind of like angry. She was very tsundere type, but it wasn't too out of control. It wasn't bad. Didn't put me off of it. And yeah, so when I also like that they both started dating pretty quickly. They both didn't have too much of like a chase on either side, which I think was really good. I think they kind of, in a way, it did seem kind of boring because there was no chase, but at the same time, it kind of made sense why there wasn't one, and it worked somewhat well in the anime. Especially when you have 12 seasons and you're not trying to make that your focus, then it makes sense that you would just kind of rush it. But I feel like they just didn't do much with them two after that. They've kind of drifted apart from that, and they just started focusing on the side characters, which was really weird. And I think it could have just ended at season 1. They didn't really need season 2 to kind of drag it out, the story of all of the characters from like the beginning, from the first season, and then they just kind of like deep dived into it into season 2, which I don't think they needed to do. I think they were fine with just season 1. They didn't need to like put so much emphasis on the thought process and a lot of the focus on the side characters, because it just didn't work well in my opinion. I just think they weren't as interesting. They shouldn't have been as much of a focus. They really did ignore the two main characters, especially a lot in season 2, which I guess was kind of their point, but I don't think it was good, because I feel like when I watched the show, especially from season 1, I expected to see more of that. They kind of did a little switcheroo on us, kind of like Last of Us 2, where in like Last of Us 2 you start focusing on like other characters aside from like Ellie and Joel and whatever. It's a weird analogy to make, but it's just kind of like, it's just kind of weird itself that they just focused on a completely new character. Well, not new, but kind of new characters on the side that I feel like most people weren't even that interested in to begin with, especially from season 1. I know I wasn't, so I don't know who was kind of asking more for like the pink-haired girl, which she was cool, but not cool enough to kind of have her do her own little arc in the show, and that's just kind of my complaint from it. So yeah, I think season 2 kind of hindered it. I don't think it was needed at all, and I think that's something that Tomo-Chan as a girl did really well with, is just kind of having a very concise story. It hit every beat on every episode for the most part. It was never really dull. It didn't drag on. It had its 12 episodes, had the obligatory beach episode, and all the other stuff, like the festival and stuff, and they just kind of did it really well, in my opinion. I think that the main character girl was really good in Tomo-Chan. She just looked nice. She has a little fang, and she had like a very unique design. And the guy, obviously being just kind of basic, was fine, but he had like, his own quirks and traits and stuff that made him interesting to watch as well. And in Horimiya, she didn't really have too much growth in the anime. The guy didn't have that much growth in the anime. They kind of just repeat a lot of the same lines. It's very much the same beat throughout the whole show, and they don't really go into too many conflicts, which I guess I kind of get, because they're trying to be like a slice of life and they were just trying to make it wholesome. But at the same time, it's kind of like, why would you do all of that when you're trying to present it as like a romance more so than a slice of life, which I feel like most people would agree with, that's kind of how they presented it with. And it just kind of threw a lot of people for a loop when they didn't really focus that much on it. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. I really liked the family that Horimiya had, the girl. I think it was really good dynamic between all of them, very wholesome. But again, in season 2 there was really almost none of that, which was very disappointing. Just kind of focused again on the side characters that didn't really have even that much going on, besides like a few love triangles. It just was not interesting to watch, in my opinion. and Tomo-Chan never really deviated too much from like the main characters. It feels like they kind of knew what they were doing with that. They did have side romances and stuff, but it wasn't anything crazy or more than like it always tied back to the two main characters, and I think that was really good from them. I think they did a really good job just kind of trying to focus on that aspect really, and I think they knew like from the start that they weren't going to make the side characters impede so much on the main story, which is really good. And I didn't have an issue with them. I think everyone was still good. Obviously, I like both these animes. I like both these shows. I just think that Tomo-Chan was more underrated, especially because it was so funny. They did have a lot of moments that most people can like remember and look back on and be like, oh yeah, I remember she did this. I remember they did this. Horimiya, not so much. I don't think I remember any scenes that were that funny. I think most of the scenes were kind of meh. They weren't anything stand out other than the main dude having like tattoos and I guess going from like one look to another. Other than that, there was like a few clippable moments which I did see flying around TikTok and stuff, mainly because it was so wholesome, and I think that's kind of what made it popular. But I don't think it was funnier. I don't think it was a better story. I don't think they had better, maybe the same level, but not better characters than in Tomo-Chan. I think because Tomo-Chan was just focused more on comedy, that's why people kind of like didn't watch it as much or just didn't give it as much credit as Horimiya itself. Also, the opening maybe affected that as well, but I still think both of them were really good. They did the classic of Tomo-Chan and the childhood best friend trying to get together, which also might have hindered it in most people's eyes because they think that it was just not that unique of a story to tell, because you hear it a bunch of times. I've seen this kind of story like a lot as well, but I still think again they did it in a very unique way. It was still interesting to watch from this anime to do it, and I don't think Horimiya, to be honest, did anything revolutionary either in terms of their story and the premise that they went with as well. All the shenanigans they did, it was pretty good, pretty funny to watch. They tackled some modern issues kind of as well. They didn't go like super old school with like their issues. It's not a banger like Clanad. It's not Ituzura no Kiss. It's not Conan or Canon or whatever that anime was. Or like Say I Love You, Kimi ni Todoke. It's not like crazy good. Neither of these anime are at that level at all, to be fair. They're both, I want to say, like a 5 out of 10 in my opinion. I just think that Tomo-Chan as a Girl maybe would get a 6 out of 10 because it was funny and it kind of like had more of a concise story. If I'm looking at just season 1 of Horimiya again, if I had to like rewatch and stuff, I probably wouldn't even watch season 2 again. I would just ignore it, which I didn't do because I did watch both of them. But I think that if somebody was to watch it, they should just ignore season 2, to be honest. It just was not worth it in my opinion. There's more animes and shows in my backlog and in most people's backlogs that they want to watch and do that would be better used with that than, you know, watching season 2 of an anime that doesn't even focus on the characters introduced in season 1. That's just my take on it. Oh yeah, shout out to Kimi ni Toroke season 3. I'm excited for that. I don't know if I'm gonna make a video on it or not, or watch it like as soon as it releases, but I am very excited for that. It's so random they fucking did that. I don't know why, but sure, I guess. But yeah, I think for what it was going for, Tomo-Chan did again really good, and they should make more animes like that where they kind of just do the 12 episode I want to say stereotype, the 12 episode format of a romance anime and just kind of see how it goes, which is kind of what they did with Horimiya. Horimiya also just felt too long. It really wasn't, but it just felt really long to me. I liked it on the first like 6 episodes for each season, then it was just kind of like dragging on, and I didn't appreciate that. It just kind of made me feel like I was just watching filler in a lot of moments, and again, Tomo-Chan just never really felt that way for me. But yeah, this was just kind of my way of just having like an open letter to a lot of the anime people that I think that it was just overrated. I just don't know why Tomo-Chan is ignored. I mean, again, you could say this for a lot of anime as well. A lot of anime is just ignored and not as mainstream because it just doesn't hit certain beats with a lot of people, which I get. But I think Tomo-Chan is one of those animes that should get a little bit more recognition, even especially over Horimiya, which kind of fumbled the bag. And I feel like a lot of people understand that as well, or know about that. But they just never gave Tomo-Chan a chance. It's kind of like the one, maybe I'll call it like a mini One Piece syndrome, where it's like people don't get into One Piece because the art style is a certain way and they think the art style isn't good or whatever. And that's kind of why I didn't start One Piece for a longest time, is because I thought the art style was weird, and that just was my main reason for not watching it. I think Tomo-Chan is kind of similar in the fact that people know it's a very generic, or they see it as a very generic, like want to be funny romance, and it kind of is, but it also is just more than that. And I think it was done a disservice in the Crunchyroll Awards, and that just kind of sucks. I'm pretty sure it was the Crunchyroll Awards where they lost to Horimiya, because Horimiya was just seen as the better anime, which is fine. Most people have their bad opinions or whatever, but it is what it is. Anyways, there should be a recount, and I disagree with this decision. That's just my take. I think the dub was also pretty good from what I heard of Tomo-Chan. There were some good voice actors there. I think a lot of the scenes were just really funny and pointed out really well. And Horimiya, it had its moments, but they were very small in comparison. Like, I don't know, I think freaking any generic anime, romance anime would kind of hit the same beats, but not to the level of Tomo-Chan. And that's just, again, why I think it was better. Pretty sure the votes were mainly from English speakers anyways. If it wasn't, I feel like a lot of normies, or maybe even just Japanese people, would vote for Horimiya just because it's a little bit more, in their opinion, relatable, which I guess I kind of get because Tomo-Chan is not as realistic in some aspects, but I don't know. I think that argument also doesn't work as well. I feel like they're both still really good for, again, different reasons, but Tomo-Chan as a form of media is just more enjoyable to watch. That's just kind of my thing. I think Horimiya itself had a decent story though, for sure. Maybe the manga was better. Maybe manga readers were right. But yeah, that's just the long and short of it. It was just my opinion. Nothing crazy. But yeah, I think Tomo-Chan was definitely a lot more memorable than Horimiya, and it sucks that they probably won't make a season 2 of it, but if they did, that'd be cool. I just think there is more to explore with that anime, and I feel like if they did make a season 2, they would kind of focus on it in a really good way. They would kind of make it in a way where it's just, you know, more concise of a story, and they can maybe even beat Horimiya in the next awards. Who knows? But that'd be cool if it did. I don't know. We'll see. Alright, and with that being said, hope you guys have a good day, night, or evening. Catch you guys in the next one. Do all the things. Follow, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, I'm probably going to make another video anime related soon. Hopefully it's a banger. We'll see. Peace.